Why am I choosing this behavior? What's the motivation? Telling yourself to stop doing something very rarely is an effective way of getting yourself to stop doing the thing. Right? I'm Dr. Jessica Eastman, and this is an open Q&A. And everyone who's present to please join us by turning on your videos. All right, so this question says, my question revolves around my self-worth being affected every time I make a mistake, whether it's slipping or relapsing, making a mistake at work, or maybe just receiving constructive criticism. I'm not sure if it's because I'm some sort of perfectionist or that my self-worth is really low. The way that I would start to guide somebody here is, and this one is a little bit tricky because there's some complex layers here. Is I would consider the part of them, I would ask them to reflect on the part of them that is being really critical of themselves. So it's a little bit in the way that y'all are dialoguing with your addict self, what I would encourage this individual to do, or all of you to do in a moment when you're feeling hypercritical or being really kind of like beating yourself up about a mistake that you've made, I would consider dialoguing with the part of yourself that is feeling critical. This might be a foreign concept. This is a big part of the work that I do in my one-on-one sessions with people, is teaching them how to do that kind of dialoguing on a more complex level with multiple of their parts. And it's a really powerful, effective tool for understanding what's happening. Because as I'm sure many of you have experienced in your work of dialoguing with your addict, you develop an understanding of what your addict's motivations are, which may not be in alignment with your motivations, right? So your addict is just trying to like help you to manage big feelings or avoid discomfort or numb things that are challenging. And the part of you that's being really critical and beating yourself up about making a simple mistake or a big mistake even, also has some similar motivations, but we won't know what they are until you get to know them. But understanding what those motivations are is really helpful in order for us to be able to shift this kind of reactionary mechanism. Because the reality is, as you all have experienced because you are here on this program, telling yourself to stop doing something very rarely is an effective way of getting yourself to stop doing the thing, right? If that's true, you wouldn't be here on this program because you would have just been able to stop doing the things that cause you discomfort or behaviors that you are undesirable. So instead of trying to do this top-down suppression of like your addict or your self-critic, what we need to do is get underneath them and understand from the bottom-up perspective, well, why am I choosing this behavior? What's the motivation? And we got to do this exploration gently and also without judgment, because it might not make sense or feel logical, right? My guess is that a part of you that's being super critical of yourself is trying to keep you safe, or is trying to secure or maintain connection or love in some way. Now, if you think that you have to be perfect and never make a mistake in order to be accepted or loved, it's going to be really scary for the part of you that believes that making a mistake or being imperfect means you're going to lose that connection or that love. And when we dial it down to its core, a need that is as profound and as vital as safety or connection, which is what human beings are wired for, is a very powerful driver. So it might not make sense to you when you consider like, well, why am I being so hard on myself? Like, it doesn't matter if I like accidentally call that person the wrong name. But when you think about it in the context of the fact that your self-critic might think that you making a mistake is threatening your safety or your connection to the people that matter to you, then suddenly it starts to make a little bit more sense why this feels like such a big deal, right? And so you can then dialogue with your self-critic in a way that kind of helps them to understand the reality of the situation. So you can say something to them like, hey, you know what? I really appreciate you trying to keep me safe or trying to keep me connected. I understand that it feels to you like if we make a mistake, we will be ostracized or we'll be punished or we won't be lovable. But I promise that's not true, because that's not the environment we are in anymore. And so what if we tried a different way? And let's approach it with compassion instead. If that feels inaccessible to you right now, because that is a lot of work and there are definitely some challenges in doing that kind of dialoguing if you're new to this work, I would just try and pair the critic part of you with a compassionate, forgiving part of you. And so that you at least have two voices, right? So like a devil and an angel on each shoulder is like, okay, so the part of you that's being really critical to yourself, let's at least give the angel some airtime as well, which is like, okay, well, yeah, you did mess that up. And also like, it's okay. You were tired or you forgot or you were having a rough day and nobody is perfect. And it's okay that you made a mistake. We'll try again to be better tomorrow. And it can be really helpful to just like train yourself every time you have a negative thought or like a super self-critical thought to like pair it with something gentle and compassionate, not to like bypass through the negative, but to make it okay that sometimes you struggle or sometimes you mess up.